Explorers. Last year in the library, we read a book that everyone loved. It was called Odd Dog Out by an author named Rob Biddulph. And Rob wrote a brand new book this year. It's called Doggone. Rob is the author, illustrator. And if you're interested in drawing any of his book characters, he has a YouTube channel called Draw with Rob. I've enjoyed doing them myself with my family, so check it out if you can. Without further ado, Doggone by Rob Biddulph. I'm Edward Pugglesworth, how do you do? And this is the house where I live with my crew. There's Foxy, Lord Squeakerton, Hot Dog, and the bears, and Dave, my pet human. I keep him upstairs. He's not too much trouble, he's tidy and neat. He plays with his ball, and he eats the odd treat. I love my pet human, he's loyal and true, but sometimes I think that I should have got two. And now for our story, I'll always remember that crisp autumn day at the end of September. I woke Dave at 8 with a good morning bark and took him straight out for his walk in the park. The air cooled our breath as we kicked through the leaves. We bumped into Shadow and we said hi to Jeeves. We nodded to Huron and gave Rabbit a wave, and then we both froze and I hid behind Dave. For there in the shed by the merry-go-round, they say that a terrible troll can be found. With fur-covered face and huge eyes of bright green, he loves chasing dogs with his eating machine. My heart was aflutter, a leaf on the breeze, as we crept past the shed and the dark twisted trees. And then we both ran just as fast as we could, and we couldn't stop running till Cherry Tree Wood. Relieved, we decided to play with Dave's ball, and that's when I noticed the rain that started to fall. A rumble of thunder, the wind gathered speed. It's home time, I woofed and put Dave on his lead. We set off at a pace, but the storm came in fast, and by then, by the bench, I felt something zoom past. Two squirrels in a flurry of gray, white, and black. Your acorns, I shouted. You've dropped them, come back. I picked up the nuts and began to give chase. I flew through the woods like a rocket through space. Alas, I could not catch that squirrely pair, so I turned to my human, but Dave wasn't there. I retraced my steps. Where on earth did he go? I bumped into Huron, but he didn't know. And neither did Rabbit, he hadn't a clue. I lost my pet human. What was I to do? I ran to the bandstand, I circled the pond, I looked through the woods and the meadow beyond, and finally, with a cold feeling of dread, I went back to check out the scary troll shed. I pushed with my nose and the door opened wide. I took a deep breath and I tiptoed inside. And there in the darkness, an awful surprise, for looking straight at me were two bright green eyes. My hackles shot up, and with trembling knees, I ran from the shed through the dark twisted trees. I zigged and I zagged. I could hear him behind me. I needed to hide where the troll wouldn't find me. But then, a dead end. I was trapped in between the fence and the terrible eating machine. My legs turned to jelly. My thoughts were a muddle. And then the troll grabbed me and gave me a cuddle. Hello there, he said. What a handsome young fellow. I've seen you before with the chap dressed in yellow. Oh dear, have you lost him? Well, that just won't do. Fear not, little doggy, for I'll help him for you. We rode this machine to the place that sells tea, and there was my human, as safe as could be. A whirlwind of huggles and licks and embraces. Kindness is found in the strangest of places. And so, dearest reader, our story ends here, a day of adventure, of new friendship and cheer. Have fun in the park, but I do recommend that you keep a close eye on your two-legged friend. The end. That is funny. Boys and girls, underneath this Just jacket, I think is the most beautiful cover I've ever seen. Are we ready? Set. How spectacular is that? Look at all those different dogs. Like I mentioned in the beginning, Rob Biddulph is an amazing illustrator, and if you go to his YouTube channel, Draw with Rob, he can teach you how to draw many of the characters that you see on this cover and throughout all of his other stories. Until next time, explorers.